They told me our connection is rare, almost mythical, and I finally understood why I've never felt this way before. The expert said our bond challenges reality, yet it feels more natural than anything I've ever known. They said few people can handle the intensity we share, but somehow we thrive in it together. I consulted about us, and they said we are the type of love stories that linger forever. The truth was overwhelming. They said our souls were designed to collide, and it's breathtaking. They told me the energy between us is magnetic, irresistible, and almost impossible to ignore. I never imagined someone could analyze us so accurately. They said our connection is extraordinary and eternal. They said we defy every definition of love, yet somehow it fits us perfectly. I asked if we were ordinary, and they laughed softly. Nothing about you is ordinary. The expert said our bond is electric, consuming, and beautiful in ways words could never capture. They told me our love could inspire others, yet it's ours alone to experience fully. I consulted about us, and they said what we feel is powerful enough to leave the world speechless. The truth stunned me. They said few people experience a connection this deep, and even fewer survive it. They said our relationship is a rare force, one that challenges everything around it, yet grows stronger. I never realized how rare we are until they said, "This is the type of love most people dream of." They told me our bond is timeless, a meeting of souls that transcends reason and time itself. I consulted an expert, and the truth was undeniable. We are the kind of love that changes hearts. They said our intensity could intimidate others, yet for us, it's a perfect, unbreakable rhythm. The expert told me few relationships possess such raw energy, and ours might be the most potent. They said what we have is sacred, powerful, and transformative, an experience few could comprehend. I asked if our love is dangerous, and they said, dangerous? Perhaps. Unforgettable? Absolutely, the truth was breathtaking. They said we are magnetic souls, destined to collide, ignite, and never let go. They told me our connection is rare, electric, and more intense than most could ever handle. I consulted about us, and the expert said our story is extraordinary, unlike anything they've ever seen. They said our love is almost supernatural, a force beyond comprehension, yet deeply human. I never imagined someone could capture our bond in words. They said it's awe-inspiring, life-changing. They told me our connection is more than love. It's a cosmic alignment, rare and unmatched. I consulted an expert, and they said we are rewriting what it means to love fully and fearlessly. They said our energy is magnetic, overwhelming, yet it feels like home whenever we're together. The truth left me speechless. They said our bond is the kind of love stories are written about. They told me few humans experience this kind of connection, yet we live it effortlessly every day. I asked if we are extraordinary, and they smiled. You don't just feel extraordinary, you are it. The expert said our love is rare, unforgettable, and almost impossible to explain to the world. They told me our souls resonate on a frequency few can perceive, yet it's perfectly natural for us. I consulted about us, and they said the connection we share is rare, breathtaking, and eternal. The truth was undeniable. They said our love is intense, magnetic, and the kind that legends are made of. They said most relationships fade, but ours is indelible, unforgettable, and transformative. I never felt more understood. The expert said our bond is rare, sacred, and impossible to replicate. They told me our connection could intimidate, overwhelm, or inspire, but it cannot be ignored. I consulted about us, and they said what we share is extraordinary, almost beyond human comprehension. They said our love defies ordinary logic, yet it fits us perfectly in every way. The expert told me our bond is extraordinary, intense, and the kind that alters lives forever. They said few connections are as rare as ours, and I felt the truth in every word. I asked if our love is meant to last, and they said, it's not just meant to last, it's meant to change everything. They told me our souls recognize each other in ways most people never will. I consulted about us, and the expert said what we feel is rare, almost magical, and undeniably powerful. They said our intensity is both beautiful and frightening, yet we embrace it effortlessly. The truth stunned me. They said our connection is something people search a lifetime for and rarely find. They told me our love is more than extraordinary. It's revolutionary, unforgettable, and eternal. I never realized the power of what we share until they said, few ever experience this level of truth. I consulted an expert about us, and they said what I already feared. Our connection is rare, almost impossible to explain. The expert's words shook me, but deep down, I already knew our bond defied logic and reason. They told me our story isn't ordinary. It's the kind of connection people search for their entire lives. I consulted someone about us, and the truth is, we're not just compatible, we're inexplicably meant for each other. The expert warned me that what we have is intense, rare, and could overwhelm anyone unprepared for it. I never thought I'd need a professional to explain feelings, but what we have is beyond words. They said our bond is electric, magnetic, and almost dangerous in its intensity. And I felt every word. I asked an expert about us, and they said our love story could change the way people understand relationships. The truth they revealed left me stunned. Our connection isn't just emotional, it's spiritual, timeless, and unshakable. I consult an expert, and they confirmed what I already suspected. We ignite each other in ways no one else could. They said most people never encounter a bond like ours, and I suddenly realized how extraordinary we are. I couldn't believe what the expert said about us, but the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. The expert told me we might scare others with our intensity, yet I've never felt so alive. I asked if our relationship was healthy, and they said, it's revolutionary. Most would never understand it. The expert's analysis was startling. They said we belong together, but only because we challenge and complete each other. I never imagined anyone could put our connection into words, but they did, and it felt eerily accurate. They said the energy between us is rare, magnetic, and impossible to ignore, and I nodded silently. I consulted someone about us, and the truth was undeniable. We're rewriting the rules of love simply by existing. They told me that what we feel is extraordinary, almost supernatural, and I realized I've been living a miracle. The expert explained our bond in ways I couldn't, and suddenly I understood the depth of what we share. I was skeptical at first, but their words confirmed what I've always known. We are rare, unmatched, undeniable. They said most people will never encounter a connection as consuming, powerful, and beautiful as ours. I consulted an expert, and they whispered truths I couldn't ignore. Our love is extraordinary in every sense. They said it's unusual, unprecedented, almost frightening in its intensity, and yet it feels perfectly natural. The expert said our relationship challenges the ordinary, but that's because we were never meant to be ordinary. I've never felt more validated. They said the energy we share is something very few humans will ever experience. They confirmed what I feared and hoped. We are the kind of love people write novels about and never forget. The expert said our souls resonate on a frequency most can't perceive, and I finally understood why we feel so infinite. They told me the world might not understand us, but that's okay. Our truth is ours alone. I consulted an expert about us, and they said what I already felt. We're a force to be reckoned with. The words shocked me. They said few relationships survive such intensity, yet ours seems destined to flourish. They said most connections fade, but ours is written in the stars, impossible to erase or ignore. I never imagined anyone could dissect our love, but they did, and it left me breathless. The expert said we're magnetic, unstoppable, and rare, almost impossible for the world to accept. They said the bond we share is more than love. It's destiny manifesting in human form. I consulted someone, and they explained what I've felt my entire life. We are extraordinary together. They said few humans are meant to meet in this way, and I realized I've found my rare soul. I asked about the intensity between us, and they said it's electric, consuming, and awe-inspiring. The truth was unbelievable. Our connection could alter the way people see love entirely. They told me that most would crumble under the weight of what we feel. Yet here we are. I never needed validation, but their words made me proud of the raw, undeniable truth of us. The expert said we are mirrors, magnets, and fire all at once, and I couldn't argue. They told me our connection is almost mythical, rare enough to change lives, including ours. I asked if what we have is normal, and they laughed softly. Normal doesn't apply here. The truth was stunning. They said our love is the kind most people only dream of experiencing. They told me we challenge everything ordinary, and in that challenge, we find beauty unimaginable. I consulted an expert about us, and they said the bond we share could never be accidental. They said the intensity between us is rare, frightening to some, but life-changing to those who dare.